I mean, just in life, if you've liked the type of music and you listen to it all the time, you know, why not follow your heart? Why not follow what makes you happy?
808s and Heartbreaks is one of Kanye West's best albums. The album's so good I had to buy the CD 3 times. There's a CD in there. 808s and Heartbreaks signifies the biggest departure of sound that Kanye West ever experimented with. And it's low-key amazing. Coming right off the heels of the College Trilogy, 808s and Heartbreaks had huge shoes to fill. Released after graduation in 2007, fans were shocked by the minimalist production of 808s and Heartbreaks. But it's here, amongst some of the coldest soundscape that Kanye ever produced, that we hear some of the most raw emotion that he's ever put into his music. Die-hard fans of Kanye West know that Graduation wasn't actually supposed to be the last entry into this college series of albums. I mean, Kanye West planned these college albums way before the College Dropout even was a thing. However, as we know, these albums were supposed to be a 4-album run, with another coming after Graduation. Graduation was supposed to have a sequel called Good Ass Job, an album characterized by the lavish lifestyle after graduating from the streets, as Kanye put it in Good Morning. So if Kanye West had this album, Good Ass Job, an album that was designed to conclude the College Trilogy, obviously adding an extra album to it, so this college era of Kanye West, and even speculated to be Kanye West's final album in general, why did he never make it or release it? To fully understand why such a sharp departure occurred, we actually need to understand where Kanye West was at in terms of his life away from music. After releasing Graduation, an album likened to Kanye's victory lap of the game at the time, Kanye West was associated with soulful samples and a lighthearted approach to lyric writing. I mean, dude, Graduation literally sounds like how cotton candy tastes. After the drop of Graduation in 2007, Kanye's personal life actually took a turn for the worst. Most notably at the time, the tragic loss of his mother, Donda West. Donda was Kanye West's biggest supporter, and as any Kanye West fan would know, he was never the same after her passing. Donda died during a plastic surgery that many believe was fueled by the mounting pressure of living in the superficial Los Angeles. The worst part of the whole situation is that Kanye West blamed himself for the passing of his mother, and you can definitely hear that pain and hurt through the production of 808s and Heartbreaks. And even if you thought that wasn't enough, man, it gets worse. After the passing of Donda West, Kanye West's then fiance actually broke up with him at the time and called the engagement off. Kanye West and his ex-fiance had actually been dating on and off from 2002 to 2008, and Kanye lost it all. So then it becomes clear that after all this tragedy in his life, a soundscape like that found on the first 3 albums just couldn't convey the emotion that Kanye West was feeling at the time. Kanye had all this grief, but no way of communicating it through his signature sound. Not only did his music change, so too did he.
Mr. Jones and me, like all these sweeping melodies and Nirvana and shit like that. And I'm like, I really love music and I love to sing these songs and I can make music. So why not just make music?
The DNA of 808s and Heartbreak was then formed. It was formed through Kanye's mental state at the time. There was no soulful samples, no lighthearted lyrics, just synths and a cold soundscape. But it's here through probably the most robotic sounding album by Kanye West that we hear the most human side of him. The most human emotions surface: grief, loss, and hurt. So that begs the question, why the auto-tune on 808s and Heartbreak? Kanye West uses the auto-tune and the spacey production to create a sense of distance and derealization from his life at the time. The music evokes this sense of drowned out shock and hurt. Almost like an emotional wasteland. He's too hurt to sing about these feelings, but he's too hurt to keep them in. The autotune simply just creates more space for Kanye West to hide behind, more space for the emotion to ring out into, and more space for us as listeners to soak it all up. The first track, Say You Will, is a perfect example of this spaciness being created, especially with the instrumental outro to the track. The beat almost sounds just like a heartbeat, just going through the motions of heartbreak. It's interesting, the most human thing you could imagine, a heartbeat, sounds almost robotic and humanless on this track. The intro track for 808s is just comprised mostly of just vocals, bass, and drums. It sets this soundscape that's like cold metal, just icy and unhuman. Over the production, we hear Kanye West expressing feelings of hurt from broken promises. But as we mentioned, we hear him behind this thick layer of auto-tune that just surrounds the entire project, 808s and Heartbreak. I think unlike many people who listened to this and thought the auto-tune was tacky or whatever, to me I see that the auto-tune doesn't let Kanye West hide from the emotion, rather it gives him the platform to express it through. It lets him express that mental distance and shock, the derealization of his own mother's death and the dissolution of his engagement. It's like this shell-shocked version of Kanye West trying to grasp at what just happened in his life. 808s and Heartbreak sounds like the personification of grief to me. The 5 stages of grief, perhaps. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Or maybe it's all the stages at once in every track. No matter what way you kind of view the album, Kanye West's hurt is woven all throughout it.
I just base it off of that. Like, some people don't like auto-tune, but I do. So I use it. You know why? Because my name is on the album.
The second track, Welcome to Heartbreak, deals with ideas of regret, and it purposely references Kanye West's graduation days. He references it with the line, "Just a good life, my whole life long, look back on my life, and now my life's gone." Kanye expresses regret for choosing to chase this life that he's achieved instead of choosing to enjoy the more bland moments of life that he didn't realize were just as valuable. He realized while he was chasing money and fame, the true meaning of life passed him. He realized he missed the beauty of spending time with family before they pass, or the beauty of loving a version of someone who no longer exists. But by the time he realizes it in the track Welcome to Heartbreak, he knows that he can't stop. The track Heartless kind of pivots more towards something reminiscent of the College Trilogy days. We hear a version of Kanye grieving through anger instead of sorrow, and he expresses it outwardly through his ego. I mean, the song sounds almost untouchable, like it was supposed to be on Graduation or a later project like Yeezus. And I do think the track Heartless could have been on Graduation or My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy if it weren't for the repeating line, "How could you be so heartless?" To me, this line signifies the confusion and the questioning that comes with tragedy. Kanye is beginning to understand and ask why the events that led up to the album happened. Kanye West sounds almost exhausted and robotic on the track Amazing. After the kind of callback to the Graduation era on Heartless, he sounds almost defeated and out of his game on Amazing. The lyrics sound almost depreciating, with Kanye West realizing that the only thing they can't take away from him is himself. After the first couple of tracks, we begin to understand why Kanye West traded out his soulful samples for auto-tune. It creates space for him to process his emotions through the music. Emotions that become a lot more clearer in the later tracks of 808s and Heartbreaks.
Some of the classics. Got a house music, hot doom 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 hot doom 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 doom. Like, I want to be able to make music like that. I just have to keep on going to the studio and trying. Like, house music used to have.
Paranoid and RoboCop provide us as listeners a breath of fresh air. These tracks are fairly light and upbeat, with Paranoid almost being danceable. But to me, these two tracks kind of signify that stage of grieving where you try and convince yourself that everything's okay when it really isn't. The rebound, the dance music, the happy sounds, it's all part of the cope. On RoboCop, Kanye West compares his ex-fiancée to the RoboCop himself, always checking up on what he's doing and always being on his back about everything. On top of calling his ex-fiancée RoboCop, he also calls her a spoiled little LA girl. But to me, this is all just a form of coping from Kanye West. He thinks he's overcome the grief, but he doesn't realize that the hurt and the pain strikes so much deeper than he realizes. We as listeners know that Kanye West can spiral at any moment. Streetlights is genuinely a punch in the gut after listening to RoboCop. It's such a human experience that Kanye West sings about in the track. Wondering if you still have time to grow after such a tragic setback is actually a very universal human experience. Streetlights sees Kanye West realize that the grief isn't over, but he's not sure if he can overcome it yet. The track Streetlights also reinforces that same idea of regret found in the track Welcome to Heartbreak. In the song, the streetlights are passing Kanye much like his life experiences are passing by him in real life. But instead of being out in the street with the streetlights, Kanye West is in the back of a cab, watching them pass by too quickly for him to value them. Kanye now knows where he's going, but he understands now that he's just not there yet. Bad News ties in very well with the track Streetlights, where Kanye realizes that he's waiting on a dream that'll never come true. I think the track kind of follows Kanye West finding out about his ex-fiancée wanting to break up with him and how that news spread so quickly. We've all been there hearing some terrible news, and in the back of our mind we all just hope that it's just fake. Even I've been there, hearing that someone doesn't love you anymore. It's that thought in the back of your mind wondering, maybe they'll change their mind. Maybe this isn't permanent. Furthermore, Kanye also sings about having his whole life publicized. It makes it harder for him to grieve when the whole world is talking about his mother and his ex-fiancée. In the track, Kanye even asks if his ex-fiancée even knew that he was waiting on her. This kind of further adds to that idea of the initial shock and derealization after a tragedy. If Streetlights was Kanye West wondering if he could get past these issues, Bad News is him realizing that the only way to get through the issues is to understand that they're permanent. The track Coldest Winter sees Kanye West realize that nothing in life is promised, and that he needs to stop battling with the reality of the situation. Instead of bargaining or beating around the bush, Kanye simply just says goodbye to his best friend, his mother. Even when it's 4 a.m. and Kanye can only think about his mom or his ex-fiancée, he knows that they're never coming back. The hope of it somehow all just being a bad dream is gone, and Kanye wonders if he'll ever love again. Pinocchio's story cements the idea of understanding. Kanye's still auto-tuned, the production's still spacey, but Kanye realizes that there's no clothes that he could buy to bring back his mother. The screams and the cheers that play through this live recording of the track signify the fact that even though Kanye's up on stage spilling his entire heart out, the people just see an artist and not a person up on the stage. Even though he's hurting so bad, he's misunderstood. It feels as if no one cares for Kanye West deeper than the music he makes. The crowd that you can hear on this track is physically there but emotionally absent. He sings about how when his fans see him crying or when the media sees him crying, they think he ought to laugh. He's made graduation. He should be laughing. People see Kanye West and they see his College Trilogy, but as Kanye says in Pinocchio's story, he sees himself and he sees nothing. Because no amount of money will bring his mother or his ex-fiancée back. His mother was the only one who saw him for deeper than the music, but by the end of Pinocchio's story, Kanye finally understands the irreversibility of the situation. By the end of 808s and Heartbreaks, Kanye still hasn't overcome grief. His mother's still gone, his fiance's still gone, and his life has fundamentally changed. What changes between the opening track and the closing track is Kanye stops pretending that he's not hurting and admits that he is. Before 808s, Kanye believed that every problem could be solved, every goal could be achieved, and every setback could be overcome. But then life presented him with something that he couldn't conquer. That's why 808s and Heartbreak remains one of Kanye's most influential albums to me. It's not an album about overcoming grief, more so it's an album about understanding that some losses stay with you forever, and that one day you'll find your way. And thanks for watching.